Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to another session of Her Own Way, Season 2, Embracing Equity. I have with me another amazing guest. She is Miss Sonia Farooq. She is a graduate from Quaid-e Azam University and a certified HR professional. She started her professional journey in 2000 as a Management Trainee Officer in one of the leading private sector banks, making her way up to the level of Head of Talent Acquisition, Director HR, and now working as head of culture and change management in one of the fastest growing bank. She possesses rich experience in all segments of banking, including branch banking, lending, trade, and service quality, while her area of specialization remains in people management and excellence. She has participated and led projects focusing on transformation, restructuring, change management, talent management, competency development, and performance management are the platforms she crusades through aptly and admirably. She has many local and international certifications to her credit and known to be a person of heart, empathy, a mentor and coach in her circles. She is Miss Sonia Farooq. Assalamu alaikum, Sonia. कैसी हैं आप?
Walaikum assalam. I'm all good, Bisma. How about you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm well. खैरियत से आप बताइए. Thank you so much for being part of Her Own Way.
Pleasure is all mine, and I really appreciate this platform where you're making a woman raise their voice and let them know how their journey of professionalism has been for inspiration of other young women, young ladies who are willing to pursue their careers. I really appreciate the effort.
Thank you so much. We have examples like you, and that's why we are able to get forward with this series. So Sonia, please मुझे बताएं कि आप कौन है, सोनिया फारूक कौन है, और बैंकिंग में एज अ फीमेल आप कैसे आए?
ट्रस्ट मी, सोनिया फारूक वो बिल्कुल नहीं है जो आपके सामने बैठी हुई है, या वो बिल्कुल नहीं थी. शी हैज ट्रांजिशन अ लॉट. आई वाज अ स्टूडियस काइंड ऑफ स्टूडेंट and made to believe in her dreams and to become a doctor. This was what was taught to me right from the beginning. I never wanted to be a doctor because I have a bloodophobia. Trust me, I can't even kill an insect. So later on, when I realized that this was not my field, I stood up and I changed my field from pre-medical to business studies and stats and economics. And that's really where my life took a real turn. When I was doing my MBA from Quaid-e Azam University, I was still a very, very shy student, an introvert, and not being able to face a lot of people. But those 2 years at university really grew me a lot. It made me face people, made me understand what the real job market would be through various internship experiences. As I landed into Askari Bank, where I have spent 21 years of my career, so it was again a world completely unknown to me. It was a male-dominated profession. It was a longer working hour job. It required a lot of hard work, dedication, commitment. And we always used to hear कि बैंक में तो आने का time है, जाने का कोई time नहीं है. And when you're in competition with your counterparts, whether they're males and females, in order to stand out, you have to always go and inspire. So, but that learning, that journey, and that commitment through support of many other people around me that I will talk about later on, I kept on progressing. There were hard times, there were trials and peaks coming into my career, and ultimately then everything started taking shape, particularly after the year 2010 and onwards, where there was more talks about women empowerment, recognizing their place in the workforce, diversity initiatives, equity and equality initiatives, inclusivity. So once all these things started coming to take some shape in the workplace, so that's how it also, lessened the burden on me to progress in my career. And here I am sitting, I have been leading teams, I have been motivating people, I have been encouraging them to join banking profession true-heartedly, because it's a really respectful profession, and particularly for the females. So the journey was not very smooth. It had its tides, it had its strongest of the tides, it had storms, it had everything in it that you can imagine, or any lady sitting out there can imagine. But it's all that you have to focus on your goals, and that's how you keep on progressing. And here I am in front of you, a completely changed person, completely different and completely, communicative and interactive person sitting in front.
So what made you join banking sector? You said you were an introvert, you were shy, and then some confidence were given to you by your friends. But then why banking? All of a sudden, straight away you went into banking.
Trust me, I accidentally landed into banking because I had done my internship in banking. It was our degree program requirement, and I liked the working environment. Then there was a job, you just simply because your friends are applying and there's an opportunity advertised on your job board within the university notice board, the green colored at that time, not the career portal that many students have access to right now. So I also thought that let's give it a try. I gave it a try and I got the job. And once I landed there, so I felt that, yes, it's a very good profession for females because there was still a lot of respect and a lot of dignity for the female colleagues by most of the men. Not all of them, I would say, but most of them. So that's how I landed. It was an accident that I just applied against an opportunity coming up, and then it started on. And then I kept on, moving with the flow and progressing and taking it to my heart and to my soul and believing that I can do really well in.
Great, great. वो कहते हैं ना कि there are no accidents, you are an excellence in making. So you were meant to be for banking sector. क्या कैसा उस वक्त कितनी खवातीन थी बैंकिंग सेक्टर में जब आपने ज्वाइन किया आपके बैंक में कितनी खवातीन थी?
Well, since I started as a management trainee, so I would tell you that our management trainee batch was quite diverse in terms of gender, and we were like, how many? 6 out of 21 people, so 15 men versus 6 women, and 3 of them left within first year of their career. Because they got married, and it was a general stigma stereotype at that time that female ne shaadi ke baad ghar baith jana. So a very few of us. But when I landed into the workplace, the percentage was even lower than because I would say it was not more than 6-7% at that time. And that too, because I joined in Pindi Islamabad, where the demographics are still different. And once you would go to the outskirts, to the lower areas, to the underrepresented areas, it was absolutely a 0% representation of female or women working in the banking sector. So it was really very, very low at that time. And I think we only had one senior resource working in the middle management. There was no senior leadership who were from this gender at that time. So all the top management was 100% male. So it was a difficult time at that time.
पहला क्या चीज थी जो आपको मतलब you were not that confident, like you said, you were shy also and you were introvert, and then ऐसा क्या matter था पहली चीज जो आपको ये लगी? और I'm sure you must have felt overwhelmed by the environment, and so किस चीज के बारे में सबसे पहले बोलना शुरू किया आपने? Where you actually heard your own voice?
Yeah, in 2006, before that I was like many other females, they were not very, very outspoken, confident. But the first point that I actually raised my voice was when I was rated lower in my performance appraisal. And that was because I had taken an extended maternity leave. I had my daughter. So I was actually rated lower, and I was given the justification at that time by the line manager that since you have worked for lesser period, trust me, maternity used to be for 90 days only, and you had to return to work. There were no privileges, there were no extensions in leave. So I left my 2.5-year-old daughter at home, and I resumed my work just to get rating a little bit lower than my peers. So I raised my voice at that time. And I believe that if I didn't stand my right at this point of time, so I think I would not be able to survive in this organization. So I raised the voice. I raised the voice to a level where it could be heard, because not 5 fingers are equal. So it was a thought of my line manager. But Certainly, the organization supported me. They stood by me. Still, at that time, the leadership understood the importance of talent, the importance of good people around them, and they realized and they acknowledged that yes, one could not be underrated just because they worked for 9 months and not 12 months in the year. So that was the first time when I raised my voice for my individual right. Then in 2006 and 7, our organization undertook a major restructuring and change management program. And I was given the opportunity and I was made part of the core team. So I had the interaction to interact with the top management face to face. So at that time, there were, still hierarchies to be followed. There were protocols and procedures that needed to be pursued by everybody across the board. So that was the time when I thought that I could raise my voice in certain ideas, opinions, innovations, and the changes that the bank was undertaking. So that gave me a lot of confidence. And like I said, that I have a lot of good people to name here, and he was my head of HR at that time, who encouraged me, who supported me, and he made me realize that yes, I could do anything. So 2005 and 2006 was the time when I actually transitioned from a person from what I was to a person who was different, who was progressive, who was assertive in their professional.
Amazing, amazing. Sonia, ये बताइए that when you were, how did you actually find your voice? I mean, I understand you started in 2000, and then, you said that you raised your voice the first time in 2007. But what happened in between, and what made you actually speak up? I mean, you talked about one challenge, but I'm sure there must be a journey behind it. There might be series of incidents, events taking place, which made you, you start getting pumped up, and then you start speaking up or thing, and you think that no, I have to speak now. So what was the journey like at that time?
Yeah, I would be very honest here, and I would like people, particularly the young girls out there, to know that they are in an era where there's a lot of awareness and wisdom about equal rights and equity and equality and inclusiveness. Our organization have zero harassment policies and many other policies that support the women to have psychological and physical safety at the workplace. But it was not the case when I started off my journey, because I think 90% of my male counterparts were very supportive. They were very, very, forthcoming and encouraging towards not only me, but other females working with them. So that helped us, take the journey forward. But there was still 10% who were misogynist, who were from patriarchal school of thought, and who would still believe that how come a female can rise up to a certain level, or a female can deliver something, because banking in itself was transitioning at that time. There was a legacy of people who had come from public sector or publicly owned banks. So there was a legacy of people sitting there who would not be adaptable to the changes and the new ways of work. So it was, yes, you are absolutely right that was a series of events that could, pull you down, you pull your motivation down, and really make you believe that, oh, where I am stuck. But the most important thing is that your family should be supportive. They should understand. If they understand, they're standing behind you, then you are good to go. I mean, at that time, my parents, my in-laws, they were very, very supportive. And why? If I'm sitting here at this point of time, the credit goes not only to me, partly only a small part to me, but a lot of other people who supported me to sail through this journey. And second thing, the most important thing, which any female, any woman coming into the workforce would require, is a supportive and enabling environment by the organization itself. Luckily, our organization was very supportive of diversity even at that time. I mean, they would promote women equally, they would support women equally, and they would encourage induction of women at all levels. So, and they were supportive of their work-life balance. I mean, at that time, even they were There were instructions not to make women sit late because of many reasons across the country, because law and order in Karachi was not very good. So there were general standing instructions to let women leave the workplace at an appropriate time. So these three pillars, your own self, your own grit, your determination, and your support at the domestic level. And thirdly, your enabling environment. The employer should be really supportive. So these three things actually make a woman really successful. So she has to, have these three pillars together.
Sonia, you talked about it earlier that when you started off, there were hardly any females working in the working arena, especially in banking sector, and hardly, especially in the Pindi side, right? And then you talked about your family was very supportive, but that was not a common norm, right? I mean, even the kind of support you're telling us, I'm sure it may have differed from the support we have right now, right? So, what were the challenges? How were you juggling two things, the role of a mother and the role of a wife, and then a daughter-in-law? So, what was going on in your mind? Do you ever think of quitting as well? Was it too much of a burden? What you went through? I wanted to know that. I mean, I wanted to understand so that for people who are coming up, they should know that sitting over here, it looks nice, but there's a lot of hardship behind that. So share that part also.
Yeah, there was a point after 5 or 6 years of when I was into my professional journey, there was a time when I seriously had thought of quitting my job. Why? Because no matter whatever support you get, you cannot delegate the role of a mother, particularly to any other person. As a mother, you have to have certain duties delivered, particularly if your children are really at a very, very young age. So there were times when I had logistic issues, administrative issues, support issues, and when I really thought of quitting it. It's an honest thing that, yes, sometimes you realize that, okay, how long I can take this? Because in order to balance the role as a professional, as a person, as a owner of some relationship, or as a professional who wants to pursue other things. For example, I was doing my banking certification also at that time. That was my passion to do that. So if you're, transitioning into so many roles, handling multiple balls at the same time, it's not easy. And there comes a time when you're at your bottom rock and you say that, yes, it's time to quit. But then you realize that your 5-6 years, okay, this tough time may be short term and it may go away, but your degree, your educational qualification, many other things would actually, would be wiped out. So one of my friends actually, so she stood by me and she said, don't worry, these are small things and they will settle down soon. In 6 months to 1 year's time, your children would be both school going and you would be, at an ease to, then you would have enough time to just sail through this time. And I think she was a great support for me and she made me stand out, and she was right. Trust me, she was right. You always need somebody to take support from and to get help from, to get guidance from at your difficult time, who would understand your position, because no other role within your circle would understand your position better enough, because they would think, oh yeah, this is okay. Oh yes, you can leave. There's no problem in that. Oh yes, you can continue. But the real pain, if somebody is able to understand those persons you should value for in your life, and you should look up to them. That's what you call a mentor, a coach, a support, and a person you can confide in. So yeah, there were tough times, and luckily people around me gave me good piece of advice, and I continue. So that's the role that now I undertake for women who come to me and they are discouraged, disheartened, by any issue, whether at professional level or at personal level. So I tell them, okay, you're not alone. All of us have gone through one kind or the other kind of issues. So let's join hands together. Let's try and support each other the best way we can do that. So it will ease out things for them. So they will ease out things for somebody else. That's how women should take the approach forward.
Absolutely, absolutely. Sonia, when we are climbing up the corporate ladder or any ladder, when you can climbing up the career ladder, I should say, many people feel, and I'm sure women also feel that, and most probably they feel more that, okay, we have made it to the manager level, and if we make it to the senior level or to the top level, we might lose touch of our own self. We might lose touch of our own spirituality. We might get into this rat race. So, is this a myth? Is this a reality? What happens at the top that people are scared to, they think that it will be cutthroat competition. So what is it like there, up there?
I think that's a point where women are undermining themselves, and it's a self-created perception most of the times. Trust me, because I think that under the modern times, everybody in every organization, every senior management, middle management needs good talent. And if you have good talent, no matter if you're a male or you're a female, you have all the opportunities to rise progressively and aggressively within your corporate career ladder, within your individual careers, with individual professional life, or whatever you're doing, you can do your best. So I think it's where the women need to stand up and understand their own strength. What we not do as women is to self-reflect upon our own self, to believe that we carry certain strength. We are also sometimes stigmatized by the fact that, okay, we are women, so we can't do certain things. We are women, so we have to, get in the back seat. No, that's not the case. First of all, realize your own strengths and realize what is that thing that you can also do, which other people are doing, and you can even do with excellence. Number one. Number two is that, like I said, with the corporate enabling environment, it's so important these days. That is why we are having DEI policies. That is why we are having certain ratios for organization and employers to follow. Why? Because a woman sitting on Lancom, woman sitting on board of directors, a woman sitting on brings a lot of logic and prudence, which is statistically now proved that they have certain strengths over men. For example, they are clearly known to be having more integrity, more resilience, more focus, more better decision making, more financial acumen, better, many other things they are good at as compared to men. This data has proved that. So it would always take two to climb up the ladder, but the woman should also stand up. And the second thing is that the enabling environment, the support from leadership will help them rise, actually, will help them get the confidence that, yes, we can do it. I was at one time reporting to the senior most position within the bank, and that position gave me a lot of encouragement and faith in me that, yes, I can do it. And once you know that you have your leadership trust in you, you can do wonders, trust me. And that's your role as well, that you need to put in the same trust and same level of confidence within your own team, within the women working with your own team, by holding their hands and letting them know that you can also do that. Nothing is difficult, nothing is impossible. So.
Okay, great about that. I really wanted to delve into that because when I was once a manager, I always used to feel like, अब इससे आगे नहीं जाना, because then you might lose touch of your own self. You might lose touch with reality, and you might get into the cutthroat competition. I had no issues with my ability, but I definitely had issues that, because that's what is being depicted all around. You see in movies, and they don't share sane stories, because sane stories narrative don't sell out. It's the extremist version which gets sold out, and that gets you profits and everything. So thank you for clarifying that. Sonia, throughout your talk, you mentioned support. If that support is not there, either through in the organization or at workplace, what women should do then?
I think the world is changing. There are multitude of options and opportunities available. I have also, for a small window, that's, I think, not mentioned in my profile, but for a small window, I worked with a Canadian firm, and trust me, the global workplace is changing altogether. Now, the practices by the employer are now more driven by the employees, because now talent is valued, competencies are valued. And if unfortunately a woman lands into a place where she's not supported, where she's not taken care of, where she is not, given the right kind of opportunity, I think the first thing she can do is to look for other opportunities, and there are multitude of opportunities. And a lot of women, I mean, why we should ask someone to live in a toxic workplace or in a non-supportive workplace? That will affect your mental health, that will affect your physical health, that will affect your performance, efficiency, and everything. So I don't think that any organization can afford to be non-supportive. And if they are, then women should not stay, and they don't stay. The millennials and Gen Zs coming into the workforce, they're very open to it. Respect us or we are out of it. But in case that's not, I completely understand that that's not the case with women coming from underrepresented or rural areas, or where there are patriarchal norms still very deeply rooted, but the women should excel at their best. I mean, they should look up to someone within their organization whom they can take into confidence, with whom they can confide in, with all the problems that they are facing. They should at least raise their voice to the level where they can, maximum, because being non-supportive means that you're not allowing her to grow, you're not recognizing her efforts, and rather you're, in a way, being detrimental to the career of your colleague, your female colleague, or the woman coming from home all the way to pursue her career. So I think the first thing, at least they should do, is to raise a voice. And one thing is very seriously missing in our society is that we only tend to fight for our rights within the corporate structures or within the organizational structures that we are working in. But trust me, at the legislative level, there's a lot of protection given to women, and we need to create, you and I are responsible for creating this awareness that, not only is your corporate structure required to support you, but there is also a statutory structure which is there to support any adversity that you can face in your workplace. So they need to be aware of their rights, and they need to raise their voice. At least these are the two minimum requirements.
And what about the family setup if the support is not there? Yes, I know it's a difficult question.
No. It's very relevant question. And I think once we have done a lot of work at the corporate level, at the regulatory level, at the government level, it's time for us now to curb the domestic violence and domestic harassment and domestic abuse, whether it is of any kind. I mean, it's not only happening in rural areas, it is even happening in most of the elite of the families living in very, very, high profile areas. Even their women are not treated fairly and equally. So on either side, we need to work on this domestic violence, and we need to work on this kind of misalignment, injustice, and what you call a microaggression kind of thing, where you are torturing somebody or physically assaulting them. So I think domestic violence, domestic abuse, and protecting the woman domestically is now the third element that we need to do as a country and as a responsible citizen of the society. Why? Because if a woman is coming to the office with all the pain and all the misery, no matter how good your workplace is, she has to go back into the same kind of agony. And that's something which is still unhealthy. So if you're providing her good working environment, you should also provide adequate room for her to speak up about her personal issues, and we should try to solve them in the first place in the best possible manner we can, because her mental stability and her mental well-being is equally important for the employer, and that comes from 24/7 and 365 days around the year. It doesn't come from the 8 hours of work. So we are talking, our organization is, providing right kind of platforms to the women to discuss their personal issues. And where needed, we should also provide them the legal guidance, because most of the organizations have a legal setup. And in case if the things are not mending up, things are not improving, then they should be given all kind of support, whether it is going to a psychotherapist, whether it is going to a legal counsel, or whether it's going to actually go and take help from the law and order enforcement agencies. Whatever it is, organization and the government and the legislation all has a responsibility towards uplifting this kind of protection for women as well, because that is still deep rooted, and you know it and I know it.
Yes, yes. Sonia, um, you talked about, I'll just ask two different questions so that you can answer at your ease in continuity. Sonia, one thing I want to know about the queen bee syndrome. People say that, when women reach at the top, they want to stay at the top and they want to be that one and only person, only female there. How do you take that? And second is I want to ask you about, you talked about that women need to have confidence, but where do we draw this line between confidence and having the right skill or right mindset and attitude to progress further?
Yeah. The first question, I think it's not gender specific, because the person who would reach at the top would like to stay at that position if he or she is insecure, has certain insecurities, has certain fear factor, and has a power, I would say, thirst. I will not use a very strong word for that, but if you are a very, very power-centric person, if you are more into a bureaucratic style of leadership, then obviously if you reach the top position, you would not.
Sonia, when you were climbing your career ladder, what uh, the issues whichever you faced, what do you feel like, where's the gap? What can we do that, women who are coming after you, they don't have to go through the same experiences, which you might feel that it's completely unnecessary, so they don't have to go through that. And what can we do together, as females who have reached to a certain level, to help them pave their path or ease their path at least?
Yeah, I think it's more of a collective responsibility and effort rather than women doing something about it alone, because uh, I believe that if the person sitting on the other side of the table belonging to the other gender would understand your dynamics, would understand your presence and position completely, I think they become the best support. The problem is opening up the windows in their mind that why having women in the workplace matters, what they bring, what good they bring, and I mean, they bring so much good that the DEI oriented organizations earn more profits, more revenues, earn better into the in terms of the revenues, and add more value to the stakeholders, to the shareholders. It means that the right mix of women and men creates a harmony within the organization and makes it more efficient and more result oriented. And even more than that, there are again a lot of researches that tell that in addition to women, people are now willing to work for organizations that have a larger purpose other than just earning profit, like inclusivity, inclusiveness of transgenders, inclusiveness of differently able persons, because that organization has a higher goodwill and a higher perception value attached to them as compared to other organizations. And that's how you become employer of choice. So all the challenges that women are facing these days are mostly created by a misunderstanding of the concept, by taking the other counterpart or the other gender or differently able people as a burdensome workforce. We have to change this perception, and we have to change it together. If men are going to talk about it in a more open and discreet manner, then it's going to have equally stronger impact as against a woman talking about all these things. Because there's another issue that we face is that a lot of research comes from the Western countries regarding DEI initiatives and perspectives. And internally and inward looking, we have limited research data available. I think men understand numbers better than statements because they believe that statements are emotional and numbers are more concrete and black and white. So we have to talk about it in every manner, in every perspective that we can take this on the dashboard. Be it numbers, be it statements, be it case studies, be it punitive examples where something wrong happened and, we had to set an example. So in all the four elements of communication, intersectionality, understanding each other's perspective, the more it's going to have an impact on the women coming after us to face lesser issues and less troubles and less challenges. Equally important is the enablement environment, because I believe that the challenges of women can be divided into two things. One is her logistic and administrative issues. For example, she needs to have a daycare facility. She needs to have a support for her ailing parents. She needs to have a good transport facility. She needs to have, some arrangement for the food to be cooked, the domestic support. These are logistic and administrative issues that need to be dealt with in the first place because they're more visible and they create more impact on the woman's ease to pursue their career. The second one is, like we said, are more towards the softer side of the profession, which are opportunity to have promotions, opportunity to have rated fairly, opportunity to have positions open for them, opportunity to have good negotiation skills at the time of salary packages, at the time of induction. So that softer aspect will also come into force, some by force, but some by choice. Once we talk about these issues openly, candidly, discreetly, and let them know the best practices that other organizations are following. So it has to be talked about, it has to be shown, it has to be dealt with in terms of policies and things.
Great. Sonia, what is empowerment to you?
For me, empowerment is seeing your effect, seeing your influence and ability to do your best within a given framework. I think if you feel that you can do whatever you want to, that's for me an empowerment.
And how,
not the negative things.
how do you what is empowerment? When you say women empowerment, how do you think when a woman gets empowered? What is your take on that?
Yeah, a woman can only be empowered first by virtue of her position. The position she has, if she's able to exercise the role freely and frequently and in whatever way she wants to, so she's empowered. Number two is if she is looked as a respectable woman holding a position in a very, very ethical and honorable manner, that's how she becomes empowered. When others respect her position, when others respect her authority, when others respect her position, then she will feel empowered. Why? Because no matter how good a decision she takes, if it is not being valued, if it is not being accepted within her circle, within her peers, within her organization, so it won't make any sense. So for me, empowerment clearly means that the woman is able to exercise the roles and responsibilities assigned to her in a free and open manner and with the right kind of approach by all the persons who are
involved. When we were starting our journey, we heard a lot about equality. We are equal and we have equal rights to right to this, we have equal right to pay. And now we are hearing the concept of equity. How do you understand these two concepts, and do we need to embrace them, or what's your take on that?
First of all, the concept of equality start, taking its shape within the organization. And someone really explained it very, very well. And they said that equality is that you allow women and men to start a race all together at the same time. So that's equality, that they are shown a similar destination and they are, making to run the race at their own pace. Equity is that you understand the differences. For example, if a woman is short-heighted, so she needs to be given a certain step to make her start. If even a male is, having some disability, so that also needs to be taken care of before allowing them to enter into a race. So equity is where you take care of individualistic characteristics and traits to provide a competitive environment. I mean, not everybody can start from the same place at the same point of time. Like we said, that somebody coming from NUMS or IBA and somebody coming from a university in Balochistan, there would be no equity if we make them sit in the same test and if we, judge them on the same marks. We have to have some room for the people or the person coming from underrepresented areas. So that's how you become an equitable organization, where you take care of the dynamics of the person you are inducting or you are making part of your workforce.
Sonia, your message to the females, what should they come into banking sector? I mean, you understand the fears. What would you like to tell them, and especially related to tech? How should women, upgrade themselves when it comes to technology?
Yeah. Yesterday, I was seeing a post over LinkedIn where a male surgeon around in his 50s or, early 60s was sitting with 7 girls, and he posted that all of them are surgeons, right? So it's not with the banking sector only, it's not with the tech industry only, it's with every profession that is there in the job market. Women can adopt every profession if they can fly the F-16 planes. So what's ahead of that? I think that's a very good example of, physical as well as mental challenge that are undertaking. So my message to women is that in these times when we are having a kind of global recession, and we are having, a lot of exposure and awareness and knowledge about the things around us, and with the Internet of Things, IoT is going on with the technology, I think women can do a lot of wonders, even by sitting at home or working right in the very, very high-tiered or top-rated corporate entities. We can do wonders, we can do, and we can take on any role. I think there are no barriers now. There are no limitations for them. And all they need is to have the passion, have the right kind of commitment. And trust me, the journey is never easy for anybody. Who takes the first start, it's never easy for them. The journey is even difficult for us now. It will be difficult. There would be challenges, but that's how we build our strength on. That's how we have gained experience to deal on with challenges and to take them, straight in the front. So my message to them is that everyone has abilities, know your abilities, and I think there's nothing stopping you from doing that. And we should be contributing part of the economy. Pakistan is still rated lowest with the women participation in the workforce. It doesn't mean that you have to go out of your homes, you have to look for a job to actually be effective and efficient in your profession. No, you can do a lot of work while sitting at home. I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs who are women and who are running good businesses while sitting at their home, using their intelligence and mindset. So whatever skills you have, please capitalize on that. That's important for you, your family, your children, your sustenance, economy, and the country overall. So be productive part of the workforce. Take on whatever you want to. And I've seen women who started at their 40s, who started at their late 30s, and are making up their careers very well. So you're never late to start a career, and you are never weak enough to not to start it. You are strong and you can. So embrace it. Let's do it together.
Thank you so much, Sonia. It was a really candid and a very honest interview. I really like that. No, nothing, fancy, really straight from the heart. And it was really, really inspiring. Thank you so much for being part of the session.
I appreciate that. I can be reached over LinkedIn, and any person who wants to seek an advice, who wants to talk about anything, I'm always welcome to such kind of conversations, to any kind of engagement. So I'm open to that. Anyone watching this, if I can make a difference to any one person, I think this talk is perfect. So
Great.
let's hope somebody would be inspired to take on and to start their journey with
Absolutely.
any kind of better.
Absolutely. That's something very nice you mentioned about. Thank you so much, Sonia, once again. Thank you.
Thank you, Bisma. It's always a pleasure talking to you, and it's very exciting to engage with you. Thank you so much.
Pleasure is mine. Thank you.